Hey, shalom, shalom. Yeah, the title of the show is going to be Predictable America is the worst thing you can be in a time of war. All right, the worst thing you can be, war. Hopefully I have a reception, kind of getting out of the woods over here. And yeah, this is something that the title's kind of been on my mind for a while. And just want to kind of do some on that real quick on the road, running errands. And yeah, if I could think of an analogy before I go into Babylon the Great America, is that in war or in fighting, the key to war is deception, and not letting you know your enemy, you know, your moves. And like the scriptures say, it says, let not your right hand know what your left hand doeth. Something to that effect. You know, that goes from an individual down to a nation. You know, a lot of the knowledge of Yahweh Ba'Shemai Shai, you know, the understanding of our Lord through the Holy Spirit of truth, is that you can apply this knowledge to individual, to yourself, onto your household, and ultimately to how to govern a nation. Because the same thing, how you govern your body, is a house, isn't it? Your house, your body is a temple. It's also called the tabernacle. It's like a body. When you go into the word economy goes back to what? House management. So again, you can govern your house, which is your body. This is the same as you can govern your own house that you live in, or the house of your country, your nation. So again, like the scriptures say, let not your right hand know what your left hand doeth. If I'm saying it right, meaning you don't give off all your energy and all your you know, your personal secrets, and not secrets but personal things, or things you're gonna do, you know, to somebody who's not worth telling, or if anything. Some things are just meant for yourself, and you let your actions speak for yourself, you know. But anyway, the point is that America, through the title, is predictable. All right, and again, that's the worst thing you could be, or a very disastrous thing you could be in a time of war. And my analogy real quick is like martial arts, you know, real quickly, is that, again, when you're fighting a war or you're fighting a fight, you know, you want to be unpredictable. You don't show all your cards in the first move. You don't use all your best moves in the first move. You know, you can use, you know, any kind of martial art, you know, kickboxing, boxing, kung fu, whatever, you know what I mean? Kickboxing, any martial art, man. And I mean, the easiest one is boxing you use, right? Or any kind of fighting match, UFC. You save your best moves for later. You don't want to show all your cards. And there's something called like broken rhythm, where I think Bruce Lee always talks about it, where you know you do like a 1-2, 1-2, and all of a sudden you break that 1-2 rhythm, and you do 1-2-3, 1-2-3. You never do the same thing over, because you don't want to be predictable. And also with what's that? Oh, there you go. Hey, Shalom, Yahweh, Shalom. Yeah, that's like jiu-jitsu. You know, that's really unpredictable. You know, you're fighting somebody, all of a sudden you take the ass to the ground. You know, but the point is, the key thing is, again, predictable America is that's a disastrous habit to be, and also in fighting you want to be unreadable. Well, I'll say it like this: that America is predictable. You know, with the whole thing that's going on in Venezuela, you know how they captured Maduro. Let me put my GPS back on. How they captured Maduro was predictable, you know. How they talk about getting Greenland, and how they just how America moves, you know. And the main thing, you know, they're predictable because they say the same thing about all these nations that are at odds with them. Once you don't follow in other words, the U.S. uses the same playbook for when they have to, you know, in so-called invade a country, and it's the same old excuse, right? That once you hear America talk about, or Babylon America talk about, oh, there's a regime change, you already know the game. Right, they did the same thing in Iraq and Iran and all that when they took Saddam Hussein out, and here it is. You know, they talk about weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, and there was nothing there. Right? They did you know, plenty of documentaries on that. The same thing with Gaddafi and all these people that they took out of leadership. It's the same old playbook. Oh, regime change. So the point is that they're predictable, and it's no different from what's going on now. And everybody has figured out. Let me see. Hold on real quick. So when you hear about the same old thing in the news, America saying, yeah, we got to go into this country because it needs a regime change. You already know the deal. It's the same old playbook. And it's the same excuse. Oh, the leaders of these people are doing inhumane things to their citizens, or breaking what's the phrase they use? Humanitarian, inhumane things to their citizens. They're breaking international humanitarian laws. You know, they're chemically poisoning their citizens. They have terrorism and they're trafficking drugs in their city. So we got to go in there and do a regime change. It's the same old thing, but when you dig and you find out, America is going in there because of their certain resources. Right? They're going in there to steal resources. All these nations that America got a problem with, and they always use that term regime change. You come to find out it's always dealing with some kind of resource, some kind of oil, right? Oil or something that they want. It's mostly oil. Yeah, the water. Yeah, Yahweh does. Yeah, America's a big hypocrite. Everybody sees that they're a bunch of actors. So what's the point? America is predictable, and that's what's gonna destroy them. Because in war, the least thing you want to be is predictable. You want to be unreadable. You see, even amongst yourself, doesn't matter. When you're around other men, when you're around other women, when you're around people you don't really know, you want to be unreadable. You want to be. You don't want to give off too many things about yourself, because then somebody could channel how to trigger you and manipulate you. Right? So the whole world can read America. Right? They're predictable. So that's my point, that in war, that's the worst it can be, and you can destroy it. So if you're fighting and everybody knows you're going to throw that right punch, like in fighting, right? Most people what's the first thing they do? Throw a right punch. It's stuff you're doing self-defense should be giving you for a right punch, unless somebody knows that actual fight, then you have a counter, you know? Most people know how to fight. So again, I'm gonna keep repeating, the worst thing you could be in war or martial arts is predictable. Once someone predicts you, your moves, it's over. And the whole world has figured out America, even with the dollar, right? Nobody wants to mess with the dollar because they know what can predict what you're going to do with it. You're going to trap them. You're going to if you don't follow their ways, you're going to set up sanctions and propaganda sanctions, ruin their business, regulations, tariffs, hikes. Right? If you don't go according to their plan, and their plan is just basically about stealing your resources, putting in puppet leaders, and taking over your land, taking over your country. And the majority of the people, countries in the world, they know the MO of America, man. It's all about kill, steal, and destroy, like the Lord said in St. John 10:10. The thief cometh not but to kill, steal, and to destroy. Okay? So, and that's what's going on, man. And since America's predictable, this is what's going to lead them to finally be destroyed, right? And if you notice about these other nations, like China, Russia, Putin, when you look at Putin, he's unreadable, right? You can't really read him if he's angry, happy, whatever, sad, anxious. Of course, he's probably feeling something, but you have to remain unreadable in war. When you look at these Chinese, Moabite Chinese people speak at their national press conference and they talk against America, they're always calm and they're unreadable. So you can't really, you know. So that's another thing. People, you know, dummies think the news is actually telling you the real news. In war, you don't lay out all your playing cards on the news. News acts like they got the inside play-by-play information of what's going to happen next. It's all freaking a lie and lying to you, and everything's being used against for propaganda. Right now, they're talking about Iran, making them lies with that. Everybody knows that you're paying certain people in that country to act like you want them to freedom. Like they have certain, and there's many clips on that. Everybody knows about America's false flag attempts and psyops, except them Americans. You know? The American Babylon dummy is the most stupidest person in the face of the earth. And the truth is, the most stupidest people in America, Babylon, are the nation of Israel. You know, they're the most lowest, like the scriptures say, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. You don't know anything, let alone you don't know the Most High. You're an Israelite, or you don't know a goddamn thing, man. Especially current events. You don't know the scriptures. You don't know the Most High. They still involved in vanity, as you see when you look at Jake on the social media, right? So again, the worst thing you can be is predictable, man. In time of war, and that's my point, that America is predictable, and that's one of the main reasons that they're going to go down. Everybody knows what they're doing in Greenland, what they've been doing in Venezuela, what they're doing to their own citizens. Yeah, America is being exposed, and Americans are stupidly blinded. There you go. That's right, brother. That's right, you know. And everybody knows all around the world what the hell America, the Red Dragon is doing. Or excuse me, actually the woman dressed in scarlet, or no, scarlet colored beast. Everybody knows what this whore of Babylon America is doing. Except the dumbass Babylonian America. Okay? The most stupidest people by far, not only in the world, but in world history. And guess who's the main dummies? The nation of Israel. You know? With the head up their ass. Still saying the letter J like that's the name of the Lord's name. But this is the times that we're in. Thank be Yahweh Shema Shah, we got this truth. And we're, you know, that wisdom is shining for the world, man. It's going to get brighter. So much so, the men of the Lord might, you know, going to have to go into hiding because the fame is going to grow. Right? When these things come into pass, then you know there's been a prophet among you. Right? So, you know, that was the main thing. You know, I do got a show premiering later called The Second Most Abundant Liquid on Earth is Oil. All right, now that show is going to be premiering. I'm on the road now. I'm going to set it up. But take a look at that show. I did that show before I did a redo. And I think it's really important now to kind of learn about that. And it really shows you how much the devil is. Okay, you got water is the most abundant thing on earth, and the second most abundant liquid on earth is oil. And I'll, you know, of course, I'll get into the facts in the video, so that'll be premiering shortly. once I get to my destination and set up the video. But again, you know, going back to the title of this show real quick, Predictable America is, and that's again, that's the most disastrous thing you can be in the time of war. All right. Everybody knows the cards that Babylon, even with the order out of chaos, right? They're purposely antagonizing the citizens, purposely getting you mad, and a lot of the things are psyops. Okay, so they want to bring that chaos. They're purposely bringing that chaos so they can purposely bring in that that, what do you call it? Control, which is a martial law. Because they're doing shows on the Insurrection Act. They're doing it